Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We're still taking a look at some of the bigger games, more interesting games that we got on the week 2 slate. A game that's getting overlooked on the national media stage, Louisville going on the road to the bounce house playing the UCF Knights. I don't think you can think of a team that had a more disappointing week 1 than the Louisville Cardinals. They're going up to the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, and they just looked flat. This is a team that I thought had a kind of was a little bit of my dark horse to win the ACC. Malik Cunningham, one of the most explosive players in the country. I love the weapons, like Tyler Hudson transfer, Tyon Evans, Marshawn Ford. They had an offense that I loved on paper, and they just could not put it together against the Syracuse defense that it's solid, but I thought it was gettable, and they only scored 7 points. They looked sloppy. They turned the ball over. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they just couldn't tackle. In this matchup, when you're taking a look at how does Louisville match up against UCF, they did not do a very good job handling a running quarterback in Garrett Schrader. Guess what? You're seeing another one here with John Rice Plumlee. UCF, on the other hand, we loved them in the summer. We took a long look. We liked both these teams, and this game was circled because we both like Louisville and UCF. UCF looked awesome. I think they didn't even give up over 100 yards of total offense to South Carolina State, and they gained 600 yards. The offense looked so clean. They were getting the ball to their playmakers. They were establishing the run with Isaiah Bowser. And John Rice Plumlee is a guy that, yes, he's a good athlete, but people forget that Matt Corral and him were in a heated quarterback battle for a while. That's how good and capable John Rice Plumlee is. Matt Corral goes on and is an NFL draft pick, was one of the best quarterbacks we saw last year in college football. John Rice Plumlee almost took his spot. It could have been a lot different. John Rice Plumlee transfers to UCF after playing 2 years at wide receiver for Ole Miss, and he's looking like a stud. And I really like how he works into this offense, was using his legs very effectively. Actually was carrying the ball a little bit more than I thought he would. But again, played wide receiver last year. He's used to getting tackled. He's used to having the ball in his hands. And that offense with a guy like John Rice Plumlee, who can make stuff happen with his legs, looked phenomenal. And he was very accurate with the football. I want to start on the offense side of the ball with UCF and how they match up against Louisville, because I do love the matchup. You saw Louisville very much struggle to keep Garrett Schrader in the pocket. When you're thinking about how to cover a guy, especially like Garrett Schrader, who hasn't really proven to throw the ball downfield very effectively, only completed 53% of his balls last year. That was bottom in the ACC. They didn't do a very good job of it. Garrett Schrader routinely got outside the pocket, made plays with his feet. He was also much better than I expected him to be delivering balls to receivers that I didn't love. And so Syracuse is a team that maybe I missed on, and they might be a little bit better than I thought. But it's hard to argue that Louisville just did not look good. They didn't tackle in space very well. They did not get off the field on third down. They had 3 turnovers. UCF in their offense, I think, can be really special. They did a great job attacking the transfer portal. John Rice Plumlee starting. He's a very good quarterback. Javon Baker was their leading wide receiver, a guy that was at Alabama. Then he transfers to Kentucky. Wasn't eligible. Gets down to UCF. The dude is an electric playmaker. And you compliment him with Ryan O'Keefe, who is one of the best group of 5 wide receivers last year, a guy that is a team captain. He can make plays down the field. He's got very good hands. Love him. And then you didn't even see Kobe Hudson at all. And he's a guy that can make some noise. He was the leading receiver at Auburn last year. I don't even think he caught a ball last night, or Friday night, I should say, for UCF. At the running back spot, you have Isaiah Bowser, kind of just your absolute workhorse, and then Johnny Richardson kind of just spell him out, more of an explosive guy. The offensive line looked awesome. I'm not trying to overreact against a win against South Carolina State, but it's really hard to say UCF didn't look a lot cleaner than Louisville Cardinals did. Taking a look at Louisville. All this talent on paper. Malik Cunningham, we all know how explosive he can be. Tyon Evans, who I thought actually ran the ball very well, 6.5 yards per carry against Syracuse. They just couldn't finish drives. I mean, there were points where Louisville had the ball inside the 5, came up with 0 points. It's really hard to win football games when you turn the ball over 3 times, when you have the ball in the red zone a couple times, and you have no points to show for it. Instead of taking a side, because, again, I don't want to overreact on the Louisville Cardinals, I still think this can be a good team. You look at some of the playmakers. Tyler Hudson's the only receiver who had more than 2 catches on the night. And you have guys like Marshawn Ford who can really make some noise in the receiving game, he barely got any touches. Malik Cunningham was not effective with his feet. Syracuse did a very good job of neutralizing that. I'm not completely selling stock on the Louisville Cardinals. I still think they can be a good team. I just think they came out very, very flat. And on the road, you come out flat. It's kind of hard sometimes to get your feet back under you, if you will. They get a chance Friday night going on the road again to UCF. If you thought the Carrier Dome was loud in Syracuse, the Bounce House will be absolutely buzzing Friday night. Do I like UCF to cover a touchdown? That's probably my lean in this game. We talked about UCF. I think they can win their conference this year. I think they can almost run the table. Cincinnati looked better than I thought they would. That's probably their biggest threat. But in terms of being a complete football team on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, UCF is that. And that's a hard team to beat. And it's very rare to see college football teams be as complete as UCF is as a roster. I'm leaning more, and I've put a lot. I watched the Louisville game back again. I watched the UCF game back. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this game. It's Friday night. It's at the Bounce House. I want to have some action. I want to have some skin in the game on this game. I think I like the over. I don't think UCF's defense is as dominant as it might have shown against South Carolina State, just because I think they were just athletically outmatched. If I were to give the edge as athletes, I think Louisville on the offensive side of the ball probably has the better athletes than UCF on defense. Now, I think you'll see Louisville rebound a little, get kind of those game one jitters out. Malik Cunningham just needs to play a little bit more free. Throwing the amount of interceptions he threw, he missed some passes. I think the biggest story of the game is we only averaged 2.6 yards a carry. We're used to seeing Malik Cunningham rip off pretty routinely some 40, 50, 60-yard runs. None of that happened in Syracuse on Saturday night. UCF, on the other hand, I think they're going to be able to score some points. I was extremely disappointed in what I saw from Louisville, not even from a player standpoint, but just from how they played on defense, letting the quarterback get outside the pocket, letting these receivers who, quite frankly, UCF has better receivers on paper than Syracuse does, much better receivers, run free. Tackling was horrible. I don't see how Louisville stops UCF after watching how much they struggled with a running quarterback like Garrett Schrader. I think John Rice Plumlee is going to be able to tear him up too. Garrett Schrader and John Rice Plumlee have a very similar story. They both are former wide receivers who question marks on how well they can deliver balls in the pocket. Garrett Schrader answered those question marks. John Rice Plumlee did to an extent against South Carolina State. I think UCF and Louisville are going to score a lot of points. The over-under set at 30. Both teams like to run with a decent amount of pace. 61.5, excuse me. My two leans, and these aren't stuff I feel great about, is I think UCF can cover 6.5 just because I like the matchup of their offense with the guy like John Rice Plumlee against Louisville's defense that just completely struggled to kind of work with a dual-threat quarterback. I also do like the over. I think UCF and Louisville probably score 30 points. Louisville had some explosive plays. They just couldn't finish drives. They couldn't turn those plays into touchdowns. If they do that against UCF, I think you're going to see them get to 30. If Syracuse hung 30 on Louisville, I think UCF will hang 30 on Louisville. Again, I really do like the playmakers that UCF has on the offensive side of the ball. Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson, Kamar Gamble, Ryan O'Keefe, Isaiah Bowser, Johnny Richardson. There's a laundry list of guys who can make noise for UCF on offense. I think you see explosive plays on both sides of the ball. I'm probably going over, but again, keep an eye. I'm going to be watching this game just to see how good UCF really is. They looked awesome against South Carolina State. I want to see them do it against one of the better teams in the ACC, which I still think Louisville is. This game is going to be very fun. It's been circled on my schedule for a very long time. Excited to watch this game. Guys, I appreciate you guys checking us out. Wanted to keep this one short. If you do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate it. And we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.